group that started in Dallas has now gone national. Once considered a novelty and largely ignored by media, we're seeing the emergence of a national force. Dallas Jewish Conservatives is now American Jewish Conservatives. For far too long, the left has assumed that if you're Jewish, you're a Democrat or a leftist. But incredible leaders like Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, and our friend Ken Abramowitz have shown that to be false. There are many of Jewish descent who are staunch conservatives. And this newly national organization provides a home and a contact point. Let me read from their website, which is AmericanJewishConservatives.com. It says, American Jewish Conservatives is a passionate and proactive grassroots organization committed to the enduring principles that have shaped our nation and strengthened our communities. We are fervently pro-God, pro-America, pro-Israel, and pro-Constitution. Our foundation rests on steadfast dedication to faith, patriotism, and the values enshrined in our Constitution. I mean, what's not to love about that? The founder and leader of this group is a friend, and here in the Economic War Room, I look forward to his perspective. Welcome, Benji Gershon.
Thank you for having me.
Benji, tell us, based on your background, why did you create this original group, Dallas Jewish Conservatives?
Yeah, so there was no safe space, if you will, for Jewish conservatives to be able to voice their opinion without being completely lambasted by the left. I felt it was missing in the Dallas area, and so I wanted to create initially a social group, which quickly became, through word of mouth and through social media, much bigger than that. It started becoming speaker series and candid forums, and screenings of different movies, and we've done incredible amounts of events, over 150 plus events in the last 8 years. But originally it was created just to be able to have a place where like-minded individuals can come and express their opinions.
So you started 8 years ago, it would be 2016.
Yeah.
That was a very different political environment then.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what's your favorite speaker that you've had? List two or three.
Well, Senator Ted Cruz has got to be one of my top favorites. Caroline Glick, Lara
fabulous.
Trump, just to name a few.
Yeah, well, I was privileged to speak with Frank Gaffney.
Yes,
and
we're
so
happy
that
to
was
have
a great honor that I had. You got an incredible. I think we were talking about the red-green axis, talking about radical Islam and radicalized jihadis and angry Marxists. I think China in particular. So, what's your background? What caused you to start this?
I've had a sales and marketing background. I'm an entrepreneur. I was in the 3D printing world for several years. I had a beverage company back in the day that I sold. I got the political bug when Trump decided to go down that escalator and run for office. And that's kind of when this group really kind of kick-started and kind of went into full gear. It became more, instead of just a hobby, it became really a passion that I then turned into an organization and a business where we're putting on events every single month. And we have over 4,000 plus subscribers to our email list, and we've probably put on events for probably tens of thousands of people at this point that have come to our events and walked through our doors. So it's been it's been a blessing. We've been blessed to have amazing speakers, and our whole goal is to educate, inform, and inspire the electorate and bring Jewish conservatives and our Christian allies together behind shared conservative values and principles.
Well, I get your emails. I'm on your list, and
Absolutely.
I see that. But you're doing much more than just building an organization. Your website describes it as building a community. What does community mean to you?
So in the Jewish community, it's so important. It's one of the fundamentals of the Jewish religion. Bringing people together through shared values and shared principles, and sharing experiences together. It's so powerful. People, I've had people that have found jobs through my organization, have met future wives and husbands through my organization. So it's become more than just a political group. It's really kind of bridging the gap also between Jews and Christians, building those relationships up, which are so important, especially when it comes to things like Israel. Without our Christian friends, we would be in a bad place. And I think that it's important that we look at what we have in common as Jewish and Christian conservatives and come together on those issues.
Well, what makes for a Jewish conservative? Because the media will tell us if you're Jewish, you can't be conservative. You have to be this or this or this. It's sort of kind of like Biden when he was running. You ain't black unless you're voting for me. Well, you're not Jewish unless you're liberal. But no, that's not true.
That's what the media would like to make you think. It's the $1 million question: why Jews still vote Democrat? No one has the perfect answer for it. But I think conservative values are aligned with Torah values. And if you look at the Torah, you'll find a lot more similarities with the Republican Party platform and conservative values these days. And I think also just that's part of the reason why I kind of made the evolution myself. I mean, I grew up in a family that was, and still is, very much liberal. I'm the black sheep of the family, I guess you could say. But I started listening to people like Ben Shapiro and Mark Levin and Dennis Prager, just to name a few, and the light bulb went off. And I think if you give people the information, the facts, and you present it in such a way that, hey, we're open to having you come in and join our organization, join our discussion, and make up your own mind, see the facts and decide for yourself. But I think it's common sense at the end of the day. Conservative values are just more aligned with common sense.
Well, you've started just kind of as a small group, and it's grown to be a large group.
Yeah.
What's the growth been like over this 8 years?
We started with 8 people at Topgolf, and then it was 8 of my conservative friends in 2016. And I would say now we're almost 5,000 plus members, and our whole goal is to be able to duplicate what we've done here in the DFW area, open up chapters in Houston, San Antonio, and then go outside of Texas. We want to be in Florida, New York, California. We want to be everywhere. We'll need committed, dedicated professionals who can help us run those chapters in those other cities, who are committed to the cause and who want to educate and inform others on what it means to be a conservative.
Have others in other locations reached out to you and said, "How do you do it? Can we do it here?"
A few people reached out to me, and that's the most difficult thing, is finding those good people that really are that have the time and the passion to understand what the mission is here. So I've had some people reach out, and hopefully more continue to reach out.
So how would you take the model? Let's say I've got a friend, he's Jewish, he's conservative, lives in Boca Raton. How would I connect you with him?
Well, via email and WhatsApp, and I mean, obviously have them go to the website and fill out, say they're interested in becoming a head of a chapter. We have a whole thing on our website where people can say, hey, we want to bring American Jewish conservatives to our city. But I think that we want to be strategic about where we start out first. We want to go to places that already have somewhat of a presence, Jewish conservative presence, and are already tied in with the Republican Party. So we're looking for qualified candidates, and we're looking for partners and sponsors who believe in what we're doing and want to help us grow, because there really isn't anything that exists at a grassroots level like what we're doing. You have the Republican Jewish Coalition. They do a great job what they do. They're a PAC. We're a little bit different. We're events-based, and we're kind of for the everyday working man or woman. I mean, it's a totally kind of a different dichotomy.
Well, it's a great community idea. You're doing incredible work. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some of the issues from a Jewish perspective. In uncertain times, finding stability in the economy can feel challenging. But what if you could navigate economic volatility while honoring your biblical values? At Timothy Plan, they believe this balance is possible. Timothy Plan filters its volatility-weighted ETFs and family of mutual funds through a biblical pro-life and pro-family lens, so you can see competitive returns and moral responsibility, helping you to weather the economic storms. With Timothy Plan, align your investments with your values while adapting to our ever-changing culture. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has been recognized leader in biblically responsible investing. Timothy Plan, your bridge between faith, finances, and the future. Visit timothyplan.com or call 1-800-TIM-PLAN or 1-800-846-7526. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com.
Somewhere a perversion has taken place. Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government, and freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. It has to be fought for and defended by each generation.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
In this most critical time in our nation's history, now more than ever, Americans need to align with companies that support our constitutional rights and God-given freedoms. Patriot Mobile supports your values and provides exceptional 100% US-based customer service. Join the movement today. Go to patriotmobile.com or call 972-PATRIOT.
Benji, we've been talking about how you developed American Jewish Conservatives, how it's grown. I'd like to dive into some issues from a Jewish perspective. Obvious one is Israel, and we'll get to that. But what matters? What you mentioned the moral issues that line up with the Torah and so forth. What matters to a Jewish conservative?
Israel, as you mentioned, top of the list. You look at how this current administration has handled the U.S.-Israel relationship. It's been a disaster. We need to fully support our brothers and sisters in Israel.
Can I interrupt you?
Go ahead,
Just a second. So Israel, I remember as a kid, it was a bipartisan issue.
Yeah.
It's the only democracy in the Middle East. It's our best ally and best friend in the Middle East. There was never a question Democrat versus Republican on this. So it was easy to be Jewish and to be Democrat because everybody had a commonality that we believe and support Israel. Right. That has dramatically changed. In fact, a large portion, maybe more than half the Democratic Party, is actually vocally anti-Israel.
Anti-Semitism has become a huge issue, and yeah, Israel's become a wedge issue. Unfortunately, it needs to be bipartisan. You have people within our own Congress that are anti-Semitic, openly anti-Semitic, anti-Israel. There's no difference anymore between anti-Israel and anti-Semitism, especially after October 7th. And this whole notion that somehow that we can have a two-state solution after October 7th is complete nonsense. It should be one state run by Israel, one Jewish state, and that's the end of it. And honestly, the Democrat Party has done a horrible job with their messaging, horrible job with their policies. They've allowed these things to take place on college campuses where you're having death chants to Jews and anti-Semitism running rampant, Jews feeling completely harassed and in fear on college campuses. So to me, anti-Semitism in Israel, top issues for Jewish conservatives. The
college campuses, it seems to me that those are media staged events in a certain way because you don't see a lot of the college kids themselves being involved in that. Now, there being certain radical universities, they've trained the kids to be anti-Israel, but they're anti-America too. The exact person that is anti-Israel will come out and burn an American flag just as easily as they will say from the river to the sea and all those other terrible things that they're saying. But a lot of it, the college kids don't seem to really care about. They're importing people, it seems like.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have people like George Soros that are propagating some of this stuff as well. Unfortunately, I hate to say he's actually a Jew. It's really sad. But
now, if I said that, George Soros, the first label slapped on me is you're anti-Semitic for you said something against George Soros. But it's okay. You say it.
The facts.
Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah, you get the point. We got bad apples. Everybody's got bad apples. But no, the bigger problem is the fact that we see this is a good versus evil thing. It's not just an Israel problem. This is good versus evil. Anti-Semitism is ugly in all of its forms. It should be condemned unequivocally. And we're doing a terrible job in this country right now with anti-Semitism at the highest levels it's ever been. So that needs to be first and foremost for people.
So when people say they're anti-Israel or anti-Semitic, they're generally against legitimate free markets. They're generally against democracy. They're generally against the freedoms that we have. I mean, the very same things that are American values tend to be Jewish values, which is your main point.
Yeah, I fully agree.
So let's walk through some of the other issues. Pick a political issue, a hot topic, and give me a Jewish perspective.
Wow. I would say...
Taxation.
Taxation?
Yeah.
I'm not for taxation. It's not. I mean, I'm for limited government, and I want the government out of my business, and I don't want them taxing the heck out of me. I think that's Jews are independent people. We're business owners. We're people that are free thinkers, and I think that. I don't know, taxation is something that's clearly a problem in this country, but
let's talk. Trump tax cuts set to expire.
Yeah.
If Harris wins, she's going to let them expire. If Trump wins, he's going to try and make them continue. But corporate tax rate's 35% before Trump. It's 20% now. It's going to go back to 35%. I think companies will leave America. I think it's going to hurt America.
Probably so. I mean, it's crazy how high the tax rate is for that. I don't understand how that helps enable small business owners to expand and grow. I think it's a terrible thing.
Individual property rights and particularly the ability to invent patents and so forth. Perspective on that?
It's not really my forte, so I don't have a ton of experience.
Well,
in that
I bring it
realm.
up because Israel has an incredible number of creative patents.
Well, I mean, Tel Aviv is one of the biggest hubs for technology and venture capital in the whole world. You look at the technology that comes out of Tel Aviv and Israel, it's revolutionized many different industries here in the United States. And people are always like, oh, we're gonna boycott some of these Israeli products. Well, I guess you have to boycott your iPhone and a lot of other things that they make a technology for, because they're behind the scenes doing all of it.
It's interesting. I interviewed Ben Carson recently, and on one of my earlier interviews, he talks about proud Black history. Mm-hmm. Black history is American history, and he talks about how all of these inventions have come from Black inventors. The beauty of it is when you allow individual liberty, you can create things. Mm-hmm. Israel allows individual liberty, America allows individual liberty, and the net result of it is we have flourishing and creativity, and we invent things. But if you are of a single Marxist mindset, you have very limited invention.
Yeah, I mean, we need free markets and we need innovation, and Israel's a great example of that. I mean, this is why it's one of the great democracies, and that's why we have to support them. And we get a lot of technology, and we get a lot of military intel from Israel also that people don't talk about, and cyber technology from Israel. Who knows what kind of a situation America would be in, honestly, without the intelligence we're getting from them.
Well, no nation is perfect. No government is perfect. The Israeli government's not perfect. The American government's not perfect. But at the end of the day, they support individual liberty and human rights and things that are not allowed. So October 7th, you mentioned it earlier, that was a watershed moment.
Yeah.
It's a 9/11 times what? It's just horrifying.
100 at least, yeah. It's one of the darkest days in history, and we can't forget about it. You know, the anniversary is right around the corner. It'll be 1 year, and what have we learned from that? I mean, here in the United States, for instance, think about our open border policies we have here. Look at what happened when you had Hamas come in through this hole in the border there. This was a major security failure. And like you said, no government's perfect. There's clearly major failures on the part of the Israeli government, and maybe we'll never know the answers to why that all happened. But nonetheless, horrible atrocities happened, and we need to hold Hamas accountable. We need to hold Iran accountable. Their proxies who are continuously, even up to today, firing rockets and drones into Israel.
Well, we're going to have to take another break. When we
Sure.
come back, we'll continue with that, and then we'll get to solutions.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
We're speaking with Benji Gershon, who's the founder of American Jewish Conservatives. You mentioned how people came across the border on that horrible day, but you also mentioned that same border is open in America, the same risk we have. My question is, aren't they already here, waiting for the operational orders?
Some of them are already here, and it's a huge problem. I mean, we have right here in North Texas, in Richardson, one of the biggest cells of Hamas is right in our backyard. So could they launch an attack here right at home? Absolutely. It's a serious threat. So there's not much we can do about the fact they're already here, but we can at least secure the border now and and ensure that no more come in, because we don't know where these people are coming from. We don't know what their intentions are, and we need to secure the border. I mean, that's pretty much universally accepted at this point.
Well, and we need the intelligence. I was talking with my friend John Guandolo.
Yeah.
You may know John.
Yeah, we've had
and
him.
Lara Logan and Mike Flynn, and it's pretty commonly known what you said about Richardson, but all of the hot spots around America, and yet you would be considered to be, Islamophobe to bring things like that up. And I don't mean the average American Muslim is an American Muslim. I don't mean to, but there are people that are dedicated to the destruction of this country, just like there are people dedicated to the destruction of Israel.
Yeah, I mean, they're living amongst us, and we need to weed them out. And there's I don't know why we haven't done more to figure out who these people are and where and how we can remove them from our country. But that's something that needs to happen. Hopefully, it'll happen under the Trump administration. So
what you're actually suggesting, there are two solutions. I'm going to derive one from what we said in the first segment, and then the second solution, we've got to put leadership in that pays attention to this, that cares about the border, that cares about Israel, that cares about individual American liberty. So it's the anti-World Economic Forum. It's the certainly China and actually Chinese Communist Party. The Chinese people are fine. At the end of the day, people are fine. Yeah. It's the philosophy and ideology that's a problem. So that's one solution. It's a political solution. Mm-hmm. How would we do that? Name some things that we should be doing.
We need to beef up the number of enforcement officers that are at the border. We need to have proper surveillance, both on the ground and aerial surveillance. We need to have a better system of detaining these people and being able to process them through the court system more efficiently and faster. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed.
But that's not going to happen without a political solution. And
true.
Politically, how are we going to turn out? So the number of American Jewish people is actually fairly small.
It is.
You're a tiny part of the American population. And yet we're going to have to win a big election where President Biden, theoretically, I don't know what the proper, won 80 million votes. And the media is telling us that Vice President Harris is essentially a shoo-in and beloved and, tied, if not leading President Trump even after he was shot. So how do we get the word out?
Well, it comes through education to start. I mean, you have to have people that are willing to speak the truth and stand up for the facts and not be afraid. Social media is a huge part of that. If you're going to events like the ones we're putting on are a big part of that. But you'd be surprised at what word of mouth can do. I mean, tell 5-10 of your friends to attend an event or watch a seminar or educational video on a topic that they may disagree with. If we don't have dialogue and conversation in this country, we're doomed, and it's been a problem for a long time now. But I think it starts with having these conversations at the kitchen table with your friends, and even in synagogues. I mean, we don't talk about it. It's like shunned to have a conversation about politics. I think more of the rabbis need to step up and be willing to speak up about these issues, because we're at a critical moment in our history. It's not like your typical election coming up, after October 7th especially. The rabbis have a duty, I think, to speak up to their congregations. And all I see is some of the leftist rabbis from some of the synagogues speaking about social justice issues and why they should vote for Kamala Harris. But you're not seeing it with all the Orthodox synagogues, some of the conservative synagogues. And they have a huge duty to their congregation to do that, in my opinion.
Well, I hope you're encouraging them. But the top thing was politics, the political, the national level, but you just brought the second one in, which is community.
Yeah.
Community is what I think makes the difference. If conservatives win in the election, we need community, and it'll take community to get them to win. But if they lose in the election, we need community even more, because we're going to have to stick together. We must hang together, or we'll hang separately, so to speak.
I agree with you. I mean, it's and we also part of the reason why I think it starts in the community is that's where we're going to get the best candidates going forward for political office. I mean, there needs to be more Jewish conservatives running for political office, and that's part of what we want to do. Jewish or not Jewish, is get strong conservative candidates who have their head on straight, that can tackle these tough issues. But I think to your point about the community, I think that that just is one of those issues that needs to constantly be talked about at the synagogue level, at the local level, the synagogue level, and hopefully that makes a difference at some point.
All right, 30 seconds. What is your top message for America?
America still has its best days ahead. I really honestly believe that. I think that if we can turn things around politically in this country, that we have a chance to really do something special. And I think with the right leadership and the right mindsets, as American Jewish conservatives, we're going to do our part to do everything we can to make that happen. And I think unity between Jews and Christians is going to be fundamental to our success. But if we remember that God's in control and the rest will take care of itself, we'll be in a good place.
There are a lot of reasons for prayer. This is a Judeo-Christian nation. It's built its Western civilization, and it's the last and best hope for Western civilization in the world. Now, we're going to summarize all of this in our free economic battle plan. You can get a copy at economicwarroom.com. Remember, what we see as a marketplace, our enemies view as a battle space. This is Kevin Freeman from the Economic War Room.